Miss is obviously known for its defense, but they also bring just kind of another level of physicality to the game. How important will that be in this game, and will it be kind of a good measuring stick for your team with, teams like LSU and South Carolina still on the schedule?
Yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, Ole Miss prides themselves in their defense. They do a great job on the boards, and they are very physical. And the majority of that starts on their defensive end. So that will present a challenge for us. We have to handle the physicality, be able to still do what we do with that aggressiveness.
What was the emphasis this week and kind of the off week of extra practice?
Yeah, so gave us an extra day off. We took Monday off, our normal off day. We also took Thursday off. But then our practices Tuesday and Wednesday could be a little harder and more focused on us. So, just making sure that we stayed competitive in those practices. We're emphasizing our defense and our work there. But I thought we had good practices, to be honest with you. I thought that was good. And it was nice to be able to go out and practice and work on Tennessee instead of an opponent. And then obviously the rest of this week, Friday and Saturday, we'll start gearing back towards our opponent.
Jillian Hollingsworth seems to be in a little bit of a lull these last two games. Anything she needs to do to kind of up the production and kind of break out of that?
Yeah, Jillian's a good player. I think right now she's got to walk on the court with great confidence in her ability. She's to do that. It doesn't just start in games. You've got to do that in practice. She's had some good practices, but we've got to be able to have that same carryover when she walks out into a game. We need her. We need her ability on the boards. We need her ability to score. She gives us size, so we've got to get her going.
How have you seen Kania kind of adjust to college life and practices and all of that?
Kania has been, it's been fun having her around. Today's her birthday. Kania is, she's so young and, doesn't know what she doesn't know right now. But I think she's enjoyed being around. She's getting in the weight room quite a bit early on, and I think she gets on the court as much as she is able to be on the court. Right now, she's having the time of her life. So, college isn't always easy. So we'll be here to support her through through her transition. But her teammates have been great for her.
You were, worried about rebounding at the beginning of the season. That was a problem when Rakia was out in some of the losses, but in SEC play, you guys are out rebounding teams by just around 6, which is third in the conference. What do you feel like has kind of led to that consistency, and are you happy with the progress so far?
Yes and no. I do think we've had a major emphasis on board play. We've done okay. I think we've been a little bit more disciplined in our defensive box outs. I think we've had less breakdowns there. I still think we can continue to find ways to be better. We're going to have to be better, especially in our next 2 games. If you're grouping them together, it's this great offensive rebounding teams. You've got to be able to keep them off the boards, and it is going to be so physical to do that. And then we have to find some extra boards too on the offensive end. So I'm proud of our team for competing and being more disciplined, but I still think there's still maybe one more step we could go.
Where do you think that step will come on the offensive end, or how do you kind of approach that to increase that number?
Yeah, I think some of it's our positioning, some of it is where we are on the court, some of it's effort. I think most of that's going to come from perimeter, not necessarily perimeter players, but people who are on the perimeter at the time. I think we got one more person we can get on the boards.
Rakia looked a lot more settled in that first quarter against Vanderbilt compared to when you guys were on the road at Mississippi State. Do you think what factored into that, and how can she continue to just settle in as quickly as possible to help the team?
Yeah, I think for her, she's so competitive, and she's going out every play trying to throw a dagger at the opponent, and I think for her, just settling in, being comfortable, understanding that she doesn't have to do it all, I think is going to be really important for her. And then understand that she can affect the game in a lot of different ways. not just with her scoring, which obviously we need her to do, but rebounding, her defense, her passing, her playmaking ability.
Speaking of Rakia, is she going to be fully available for Sunday, and is there any changes that you've made to make sure a similar issue doesn't arise?
I know our medical staff is watching over her and trying to make sure that she's good. Everything is checked out this week, so we're hopeful that she'll be 100%.
Before the season, you talked about a lot of team chemistry opportunities, trip to the mountains, even the trip to Italy over the summer. Through the ups and downs early this season, kind of now halfway through SEC play, how much do you think that's helped this team?
Oh, I think anytime you have adversity, you go back to that. You fall back to some of your chemistry, and I think we have really good chemistry. They're real competitive in practice earlier this week, but they do genuinely love to be together, and I think that's important. And I think it's important when you're in a battle. When you are in a tight game, you're in it for each other, and it's not just one thing that you've done; it's everything has built up to that.
How would you compare it at this point this year to this point last year?
It's a great question. I think our chemistry this year has been really good. I have no complaints, and I would say it's as good as it's been in the last few years.
Speaking of Rakia again, she made the top 10 for the Cheryl Miller Award. That's the third time that's happened for her. She made top 5 last year. Just what do you feel like that says about how consistently good she's been in her position and how deserving she is of that recognition?
Well, every year is different, and you see players on and off lists. She's so consistent. And I think that's been one of her great strengths is her consistency. Doesn't mean she has to be perfect every night, but I think for the long haul, I think she showed a lot of consistency. And again, that's going to be some of that position in particular, going to be some of the best players in the world someday. So that's where she is. I mean, that's the kind of list that she needs to be on. I'm excited for her, to be there and to get the recognition.
Tamari was a perfect 5 of 5 against Vanderbilt. You've talked a lot about how she affects the game in general, but besides her size, what's allowing her to get such good looks in the paint?
Well, I think the spacing that we've had offensively, being able to make threes, make perimeter shots, attack from a lot of different positions, gives her a lot of one-on-one opportunities because people are not doubling her as much, and I think we were able to take advantage of that in our last game.
You said before that Jewel Spear is a difference maker and she loves to receive feedback. How has she taken the feedback specifically within SEC play and kind of just run with it?
Yeah, I think, a great example, we talked to her about finding ways to affect the game other than behind the three-point line. We know she can do that, and I think you can go back and see some of her breakout games have been where she puts the ball on the floor. She gets to the free throw line. Her defense has been solid. She's getting more boards. That's taking feedback and putting it into practice, and really, really proud of her. That's her competitiveness. That's her desire to be good.
The team averaged 25.5 3-point attempts in non-conference play. That has gone down to 16 in SEC play. Is that kind of just a credit to the defense in the SEC? Has it been more of a, every possession matters a lot? Has the pace slowed down a little bit? Just where do you feel like the decrease in 3-point attempts has come from?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think some of it is style of play. I think, obviously we were without Rakia there for quite a bit of time there in the non-conference, and we probably went a little bit high without her. And I think we've also found a little bit more balance as of late. And teams may guard us different. There's a lot of our players that you're going to guard on the three-point line and try to get them off the three-point line. So I think it's a combination. I don't think it's one specific thing.
After the struggles through non-conference, and now you've obviously played your best basketball for the SEC, have you found that teams have tried to attack you differently after the last few weeks?
Yeah, going into every game, you feel like you have a pretty good idea of what your opponent's going to do. You don't always know. You'll be surprised occasionally, but you try to do your best in taking historical perspective into account. You obviously are doing self-scout and what you're good at, what you feel like your weaknesses are that people might try to expose, and then you're doing an opponent scout, and you're trying to take all those things, put it in a pot, and pour out what you think you need to be prepared for. But I think we've seen different things. I don't know that it's always been a surprise. I think people are going to guard us different each game because their personnel's different, and but I think right now, you've got to be concerned about the 3-point line. You've got to be concerned about the paint, and that gives us hopefully some versatility.
Going back to Jillian, just what's the biggest thing that she can do to get that confidence back and up her confidence?
Well, I think she's got to continue to get in the gym and continue to work. It's when you're when you talk specifically about confidence, it's self. It's self. I can't give that to you. You have to go out and you have to find it yourself. And so I think for her, she's been in the gym, and I think she just got to continue to get in the gym and continue to do things that are that she can find success in practice, and then we've got to transfer that over to the game.
When you look at your SEC schedule, you're facing all of the best defenses on the road. Thinking about like Texas A&M, Auburn, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Just do you feel like that adds another layer of the battle testing this team and this offense is going through?
I tell you that let's just go with the SEC period right now. I mean, they're just so good, and you're right. We are. You've got to be so good in this league to get wins, and most people talk about the consistency on the road is going to be your defense. You always hear defense travels. We need offense to travel too, but I also think that's where we're trying to get our defense to a point where we can feel really good about winning on that end of the court, and we've done that. We have to take a little pressure off of our offense. But there's so many good defenses. You're right. I mean, so many, and yeah, we're hitting a lot of them on the road. But they in Hoosiers they measured the gym, they measured the court. If I need to do that, we'll do it. It's going to be the same. That goal should look the same to shooters.
17 of 18 from the free throw line against Vanderbilt. I'm just curious if Project Free Throws is still a thing. And I know Tamari, it was a big role for her to kind of lead that last year. If someone else is leading that this year for the team.
Yeah, we haven't done Project Free Throws this year. We've done, we've really upped our free throw shooting goals in practice to a really high standard. And they're consistently pushing to try to beat those goals. But they've done a really good job, and I'm proud of them.
Your bench is averaging almost 18 points a game through SEC play pretty consistently. Depth is so important in this league. Just how key is that going to be going forward to have that night in, night out?
Yeah, I think we have to look at that as an advantage. We've got people that can come off the bench and not just score; they can produce, they can make plays, and because we have starters coming off the bench, and that's where, we talk about it a lot. That's where anybody on this team can step up and make a difference. You don't have to be in the starting lineup to do that. And, for us, I love that we've had contributions off the bench. It is important in this league. It's so tough and so physical. You've got to have some depth.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Hey, Coach.